Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. And we are always honored. We have our special guest and our brother from another mother, one of our best friends out there in the industry, but just an all-around great guy who just has a passion for helping other entrepreneurs succeed. Our good friend, Aaron Young from Laughlin Associates. What's up, brother?
Hey, good to be here. Always fun to be with you every time. I'm always grateful that you bring me back. So good to see you. Good to see you.
Well, I know you've got a busy couple of weeks here for you. You've got your Magnify Your Wealth Summit kicking off here in a couple of days with a bunch of people. Yeah, I know, right? I have a little bit of water here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going through puberty with my voice cracking like that. Who knows? But you got that. But you got a really kind of cool thing coming up that you're doing in Italy here in a couple of weeks. We were just talking about kind of summer travel plans a few minutes ago, and you've got a pretty cool thing you got rocking and rolling. I want you to talk a little about that first, Aaron, huh?
Oh, thank you. Well, so, I teach this class called the Unshackled Owner, and it's really designed to help people that have grown a company and they're doing well, but the business has taken over their life, and they want to figure out how to rethink how to run the business so that they have way more time freedom to enjoy the money they've created. Well, so we've been doing that for several years. We always thought we would do a small group eventually. And finally, some of the students who are all owners of successful businesses started saying, hey, when can we do it? And so that's kind of a nice way to start something new, is when people are asking for it. You know that. You're always very in tune with your audience. So anyway, I've rented a 23,000 square foot villa about 50 minutes outside of Florence, Italy, out in Tuscany. And we've got this small group of people that are going to go out there, and we're going to do this 3 times a year. And it'll be a small, intimate, no more than 12 people mastermind group. And this is our first one. So I've been to lots of other people's events, but I've never done anything like this before. So I'm really excited about it. And of course, the beauty of it is, and you know this, and I was just talking to Lee Morgan, my business partner at Laughlin. It's so great that once you've learned how to not just make money yourself, but how to start to scale it and how to make a business out of the thing that you're good at, it's exciting because you really can go off. I was saying I'm going to be there for 16 days, I think, to teach a 3.5-day class. You're going to be away on a trip for almost 3 weeks. My business partner is going off on a trip for 2.5 weeks, to where you just let go, you disconnect. Matter of fact, you said we can't do an interview together next time because you'll be at sea on the day that we would normally do it. So, there's reasons people should be listening to you and should be listening to me, for that matter, if they want to create something that creates wealth that isn't dependent on showing up 9 to 5 every day to do specific work. If you want to learn how to build wealth and not just have a job, there is a way to do it. And it's not luck and it's not fairy dust. It's a formula. When you follow the formula will work.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with that. And for those that are listening out there for the first time to our podcast, or watching this on Facebook or on the YouTube replay videos, or listening to us on our 16, actually we're adding a 17th AM FM radio station across the country as well. Aaron is the CEO of Laughlin Associates. They're a company out of Reno, Nevada, that specializes in working with entrepreneurs and business owners and helping create entities and asset protection and structuring deals, and working with a variety of professionals to really help you grow your business in the long run, right? You always start with the end in mind. And Aaron is an expert at building businesses, starting businesses, and helping other entrepreneurs break the chain of shackling themselves to their business. And that's one of the great things that you were just talking about. Hey, sometimes you've got to, if you're the person that has to show up and turn the lights on and do everything, you're not really a business owner. You're just employed by yourself, right? You're
self-employed. And, most people that say they have a business are truly self-employed. They do work for themselves. They do get to call the shots, but if they stop working, the revenue at least significantly drops. It may not end, but it significantly drops, which means there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, I celebrate the fact that they did it and that they're making a living at it. It's a very challenging way to live. And as a guy who's, with the exception of 3 years, I'm going to be 55 later this month. Only 3 years of my adult life did I have a job. And that was a very significant position in a big public company. I was their vice president of sales for a large multinational. The point is, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to being quote unquote self-employed. But what I learned early was that you don't have to be self-employed. You can start a business, follow a system, and begin to extricate yourself from the day-to-day operations. And you mentioned that I'm chairman of Laughlin. I bought that in 2001. My business partner and I bought it in 2001. And it's been over 2 years since I've even walked in the door of that office. And we have dozens of employees and tens of thousands of clients. And if you build it, then the team will run it and you can own it, like owning real estate. Mm-hmm. But how many of these real estate investors want to be the one plunging the toilet, painting the walls? I'm not kidding, mowing the lawns. Or do you get a team of people to help you manage your assets? Mm-hmm. Well, you can do that in business. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for letting me mention that.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. Because what's funny is I've talking to somebody earlier, and we've got a pretty active group online, our WC and Crew Facebook page, and our different base camp groups and things like that for people like, oh, how often do you do this? And how often do you audit your own loans? And I'm like, no offense, you probably shouldn't be auditing your own loans. That means you're going through every file, you're double checking insurance, I'm like, you should not be doing that. If you want to get from most people, no matter how many systems they have, they can only really effectively operate around somewhere between 20 and 30 loans. Now, if you're high tech and you're used to a lot of things, maybe you can add a little bit more to you, but you've got to put systems in place. Or as I always tell people, if they want to go from 0 to 6 figures, hire an assistant. Bring on somebody to do the stuff that you don't want to do. You're agreeing to that, right, Aaron?
Oh my gosh. Yes, the answer is yes. I'm agreeing with that. I don't know how people don't, I really don't know how, if you want to be a business owner and you want to make money, doing things like, unless it's meditative in some way for you, things like, taking care of your lawn, cleaning your house, following up on the stacks of business cards that you get. You need to have people that come and do that. Now, if all you do is sit on the couch and watch TV all day, then whatever. But if you could more efficiently or effectively leverage your time to where you're mostly doing high value work, whether that's revenue generating work or it's radical self-care, where you're going on a cruise or you're getting a massage or you're sleeping in one more hour or you're exercising, something that makes you sharper, something that sharpens the saw, right? That's great. Some of the wealthiest and some of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life. I'm thinking of two of my idols. One of them is a guy named Jeff Flam, and the other guy is a guy named Winston Churchill. Now, Winston Churchill's been gone for a while. Jeff Flam is an active business owner, real estate investor he lives in Utah. Both of those guys who were pretty busy. Churchill, had a kind of a thing going on with the whole World War II, changing or rebuilding Europe and the Middle East, and Jeff Flam running a $1 billion real estate empire. They both learned to oil paint, and they would take time every week to paint because it got them out of all the craziness and into, they could only focus on the canvas. So when we look at assistants, housekeepers, anything like that, you don't have to go and be a slave at your desk. What you need to do is keep your brain sharp. Warren Buffett spends 6 hours a day reading, sitting in a chair reading, right? Because that keeps him sharp. So it's not all about how hard did you work. It's what are you doing to make yourself better at accomplishing whatever it is you're trying to accomplish to make money. And, you're an expert on your business, Scott, but you're also an expert about a lot of stuff. You've learned so many things about marketing, about technology, about sports. You know so many things, all of which, when somebody meets you, adds to your credibility and they want to do work with you. So folks out there listening, quit doing the mundane stuff that somebody that's making minimum wage can do for you, and lift yourself up into a realm where you're living at a different level than that. I mean, and some people are going to say, oh, that's very ivory tower of you, Mr. Young. That's fine if you have the money. Well, Scott, have you always been rich? No. My stories. Have I just had this perfect trajectory?
No, I think that's the thing that most people don't realize about entrepreneurs. It's not there's no perfect trajectory. It's peaks and valleys. But what you work towards is that the valleys become higher than the peaks ever were to begin with. And
you get out quicker.
Yep.
The people that you'll meet people sometimes who are flash in the pan. They did something and they made a lot of money, or they got famous, or something happened, boom. And then when their moment is over, or when that company is sold or whatever, you'll see they can't repeat it. They never learned really how they got there. They were right place, right time, took the right opportunity. It was great. It was successful. But I know a ton of people who've done mind-blowing big brands, created things that everybody listening here has heard of, who then just never were able to get back to that level again. With the people that learn the why of how things work, or the why of how, the reason that there's what made it happen, tend to be able to repeat over and over and over again. And even when they do have, like, you look at Richard Branson, and Richard Branson's had lots of things that didn't work, but he knows how to get out of it quick and go do something else that does work. Mm-hmm. I notice now Virgin Trains in Europe, they're now, Virgin Airlines is now going to have Virgin Rail.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos has tried lots of things that didn't work, but a lot of his stuff seems to be working too. And so,
but the thing about giving something is having a little bit of patience though too. I think so many entrepreneurs get into something, they don't see immediate results on things, they give it up and walk away. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I have had this discussion, and I totally side with you that, hey, a lot of people want to try to pursue their passion, but if there's nobody buying their passion, it doesn't work. And if you listen to, I can't remember what the guy's name is from the show The Prophet. He likes to talk about.
Oh yeah.
He goes.
I don't know his name.
I can't remember his name, but he talks about the fact that if he's in a business that's failing, he does not go down with the ship. Most entrepreneurs go down with the ship because they can't let go of the wheel to jump, to let it go and move on to something else. Because that's what that's what entrepreneurs do. That's what those that are successful do. They give something a try. If it's sinking, they don't sit there and go down with the ship. They move on. And with the different laws that are available to us out there, hey, great, they're able to do that for different things, right?
Yeah, and amen to that. I meet people all the time who men and women who will sit with me privately with tears running down their face saying, I feel like I'm so close on this thing. And I'm like, well, how long have you been working on it? 5 years. And I've put all of my life savings into it, and I'm in debt, and I'm losing my marriage, but I'm like, well, why are you still doing it? Why are you doing this? They're like, because I've invested all this time and money. It's like a gambler who's they're losing all their money, but they think on the next hand, I'm going to make the money back. and it's like, no, just stop. Just stop and do a sanity check. Does this make any sense? But people will do it. Brian Tracy is the guy that I heard quote this old Turkish proverb years ago. And Brian said, the Turkish proverb is, no matter how far you go down the wrong road, turn back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a brilliant thing, because people will say, I'm making such good time on the road. Why would I stop? It's like, dude, you're going the wrong way. Come back. We can help you. So yeah. Anyway, we could, this is a philosophical discussion that I'm sure we could spend an entire hour on, and all the people we've seen that have just continue to chase their tail and wonder why they've lost all their money, mm-hmm. and why they've lost relationships, why they're miserable. And you don't have to do that. There are lots of things to do in this world. And if something's not working, then either figure out why is it not working, or maybe it's just a bad thing to do and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be so locked into the thing you told everyone you were going to do, that you keep doing it when it becomes a fool's errand.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Don't keep doing it if it becomes a fool's errand. That's a quote worth to use on that one. Hang on, nugget there. Very big nugget on that there for you. So one of the things that's great here is you guys are, we're big fans of Laughlin Associates. Our mastermind members, a lot of our students are clients of your court bail protection. And one of the things that I learned and have spent time working through at your Magnify Your Wealth Summit that you hold twice a year, once in this weekend, in a couple of days. If you're watching this live, there's a couple of VIP seats still available. You can go to magnifyyourwealth.com and use the code VIP to get in. That code will be different after the event, though, of course. But anyway, one of the big things that most entrepreneurs get excited about is setting up their entity, right? They're going to set up their LLC, not a DBA, but an actual entity is really kind of the first thing that separates people. Because I get people all the time, oh, I'm going to buy my own name. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. You don't want to do that. Careful there. You don't want to run the car off the cliff. There's some things you want to do to set things up. So a lot of people go out and get an entity, right? Get an LLC, an S Corp, whatever, C Corp, whatever it may be. But that's just not the first step. So many people will go set that entity up, but they won't do the things that they need to keep that LLC compliant. And what I thought I would do today, because I just created a new LLC with you guys. I was on the phone with Brent.
Oh,
got it all taken care of. Drum roll, please. So this comes in the mail.
Got it.
Listening to this, I got a box. I thought it was a pie box, because I usually get like pecan pies from people. Like Quest sends me a pecan pie every year, and I got this. I was like, oh, I flipped it open and I opened it up. I'm like, oh, it is what is it, Aaron?
Oh, I know what it's going to be, but before you pull it out, let me say so. That's going to be your corporate record book, right? Is that what that is? Yeah. Okay. So a minute ago, you said a lot of people go to set things up themselves. So they'll go to the Secretary of State's website, or they'll go to like LegalZoom, and they'll look for the cheapest thing they can do, which is and it is filing a name. You are paying the state tax, the state fee to lock in your name, and so the state has said, yes, you are now We Close Notes, incorporated. And most people leave it right there.
Yep.
And they can do that for $99 or $199. The thing that they don't understand, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is so many people are screwing this one up. Okay. It's like, I've used this example before. It's like you go to Disney World and you walk up to the ticket booth and you buy a ticket and you give them $119 or how much it is to get in there now. It's super expensive.
Arm and a leg, your firstborn.
Yeah. And then, here's $120 so I can go stand in line and eat $25 hamburgers. So, but I love the mouse. Anyway, it's like you go up and you buy your pass to get in, and then you go back to the parking lot and you go to the mall or something. You never walk into the park. So you paid for it, but you never got what you bought. All you got was permission to go into the park, but you never got the value that you paid for. That's when people go and file their name for $99 or whatever, just pay their state fees. It's like they bought the ticket, but they never got what they bought. So what they need is what I think you're going to show us right now.
Yeah, that's the thing is we see you say it all day. If you've ever heard Aaron speak or seen him speak at Note Camp or ever virtual note buying workshops or things like that, there's a slide that Aaron does about all the updates that you've got to provide to your entity. Quarterly updates and things like that. We'll get that, or monthly updates or things like that. Or when you make a decision, you've got to do that. But this is your corporate books. So I got this nice leather-bound binder. Comes in, it has the name of the entity. I went ahead and created a separate entity just for the podcast. Okay.
Nice.
Because we now are we have sponsors and things like that. I'm wanting to separate that off.
Oh, wait a minute. So what is it actually called? Is it called We Close Notes?
No. We Close Notes is the main company. This is a separate. The podcast now is an entity called the NCS Podcast LLC.
Oh. Okay, cool.
Okay. Because we're getting courted by some very, very kind of big sponsors like banks and a couple other things as well too. So I was like, we're getting some good traction from this. It's this little side thing that we've done has really done a good job. And so we're like, let's create an entity and do a little protection with it. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So inside the binder, I'm going to zip it open. Zip it up. So you got a couple things. You've got the minute books, the certificate.
Hold on. Hold it up a little higher. Hold it up a little higher.
There you go.
Hold up hold up the binder open. Okay, I was looking to see if there was a leather pouch in there.
There is. It's on the back here.
Oh, it's on the back. Okay, all right.
So I got the leather pouch in here. You want to tell them what's in the leather pouch, Aaron?
Well, so that's an embossing thing. It's like a corporate seal, and a lot of people get pretty excited when they open up their corporate book, and the first thing they see is this very heavy thing, this corporate seal, and it's in this little leather pouch. So yeah, hold it up higher, they can see it.
Yeah,
there's another piece to it though. It looks like a stapler.
It's inside of here.
Anyway, they get the corporate seal and they put it together, and it's got this metal pointy thing, and you go emboss a piece of paper with it. And if you're not careful, you'll rip right through the paper. It's like this little.
I'm not seeing it actually. Weird.
Well, we'll figure it out in a minute. Or is it a rubber seal? It doesn't really matter. We can keep.
Anyway, yeah, it's probably just in here.
Well, the old ones have metal seals. Some of them still do. And some people get a rubber seal that's like more like a kind of stamp.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, but basically, it's gonna have you can't really see that. It's got a stamp on there and stuff like that.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's what the embossing thing right there is what it should look like. So, and then, if all you do is file with the state, all you end up getting is, there it is. All you get is a little, a document that just says filed, and you've got your like if we're using a corporation as an example, you're getting your articles of incorporation.
Yeah.
So it just basically says on this day, this thing was formed, and it gives you a little bit of state information, different from state to state. And it says, we as a governing body, the state, the Secretary of State, acknowledge that you are legit. Yep. And that there's a new paper person that was just born.
Yeah. So we just birthed this.
We just birthed this baby.
Because you are famous for, you tell everybody out there, what's the famous words you always everybody repeat at every workshop, every seminar?
I am not the corporation. The corporation is not me.
Yeah.
I am not the corporation, or I am not the LLC. the limited liability company is not me. We're separate. Two different, I'm a human flesh and bone person. That's a paper person. But in the eyes of the law, they're equal. Interesting,
Right.
huh? Interesting
Exactly.
thing. So then inside you'll have your articles. LLC.
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask me your questions, and I'll
Well, it's just there's so much in there. You've got IRS documents. You got membership listings. We've got.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, hold that up. Okay, now this is, they call it a membership certificate in a corporation to be a share of stock. They're the same thing. Keep holding that up for a minute. You also said membership listings. So folks that are listening, if you ever formed a corporation or an LLC, and well, one, you must have share certificates, because if you don't fill that form out and take it out of your corporate book and give it to yourself or whomever else, then you don't really own the company if you don't issue the stock to you, the human. And then once you've issued that certificate, and you can put it down, Scott, once you've issued it, then you need to write it in the stock ledger, or in this case, it said membership list.
Yeah.
The languaging is slightly different for LLCs and corporations, but they're effectively the same. In an LLC, you have an operating agreement, and in a corporation, you have bylaws, but they're the same thing. This is how we're going to conduct business. Mm-hmm. The articles are the same. It's officially set up by the state. Then the bylaws or operating agreement, this is how we're going to operate. The share certificates or the membership certificates are the only thing that identify who owns it. And that's got to be kept in a ledger, which is there. And then there's a place for two more things: minutes and resolutions. Mm-hmm. And limited liability companies were originally designed so they didn't have to do board meetings. They didn't have to go through all the rigmarole. But the flip side to this, and everybody listen to this as matters, limited liability meant limited liability from other owners, not from the outside world. Mm-hmm. So the LLC was created to sort of take the place of a general partnership. That means, by definition, there are two or more people involved. You don't have to have a 2-member LLC, but the only way to really get the value from an operating business that's limited liability is to have more than one owner. Otherwise, you have better protections as a sole owner, as a one-owner company. You have better protection as a corporation. LLCs, if Scott and I were starting a business together, we would almost certainly if we weren't going to go raise outside equity, we weren't going to sell shares, we were going to start a business, we would almost certainly set up an LLC, because then the greatest amount of liability either one of us could have would be whatever our value of our ownership is in the LLC. It doesn't spill over onto the other person's value. It doesn't spill over into either one of our personal estates. It's only our ownership in that business. So nobody else can get hurt. In a partnership, if I had a lawsuit against me personally, and I lost, and there was a judgment against Aaron Young, if Aaron Young's estate couldn't satisfy it, all of my partners would then get a bill from the judgment creditor saying, you guys all have to jump in and pay a portion of this debt. Well, that sucked. And, you get a $50 million or $100 million judgment against a doctor for somebody dying on the operating table. That put a whole bunch of doctors into bankruptcy, right? So we had to change that, and limited liability companies were born not that long ago. And they're terrific when used properly. They're fantastic when used properly. But if you're a one owner business and you're using it for your day-to-day operating, not just to hold a piece of real estate, but as your operating business, let's talk and see if that's really the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's I love that description breakdown. That's why things are so important, because people are like, well, I'm just going to do this because somebody told me this, or I don't need to do that. Well, you do need to do that. You need to do a lot of the things Aaron's talking about to protect you. And everybody's a little bit different. So you always want to talk with an expert. We're not here to give legal advice. I'm not an accountant or attorney. So you still want to talk with those professionals. You want to seek counsel, not ask advice of Bubba, your buddy on the couch next to you.
Yeah, and just because a divorce lawyer doesn't really mean they're the best person to give you corporate law advice. Mm-hmm. Just like you wouldn't use a corporate lawyer to help you figure out seismic responsibilities on a piece of real estate. You'd get a lawyer that specializes in that. You seek counsel from people who actually know what you're talking about. That's why a foot doctor does not want to talk to you about your allergies. Doesn't mean they didn't go to medical school. They just know, I don't really know much about that. So because somebody at church or somebody at Little League, one of your kids' teammates' parents is a lawyer, find counsel. I loved what you said about seek counsel, not advice. Seek counsel from people who actually know what they're talking about, which is why we come to Scott Carson to learn about notes.
Well, so we're filling this stuff out here, but this is still that's not it. Like I have a phone call Thursday with Debbie at Laughlin. And what is Debbie going to do, Aaron? What's she going to do? She's going to give me counsel on the next steps, right?
What she's going to do next is you have to have your first official meeting of the company. So you'll do your organizational meeting with Debbie. And then every time any significant decision is made, the law says there must be a board resolution at or near the time of any significant decision. I think this is the slide you were referring to, all the little yellow sticky tabs that go up.
Yep.
In my talk. Well, there are hundreds and hundreds of things that need to be memorialized with a board resolution. Why? Well, because if you get sued and you haven't done it, they'll say, oh, we're going to ignore your entity and treat you like a sole proprietor. Or if you get audited and you're trying to defend all your corporate deductions you've taken, if they look at your record book and they say, oh, you're not acting like a real business because you're not holding meetings, keeping minutes, passing resolutions, guess what? You don't qualify for these hundreds of deductions that you've taken. I know of one guy, one of our clients, who he became our client after the bad experience, but he, in 1 hour, found out that over $250,000 of deductions were disallowed in an audit simply because they hadn't kept corporate minutes and past resolutions. They looked in that book, just like you just showed everybody, and there was nothing in it. And the auditor said, okay, we're dealing with a sole proprietor, not a corporation. And they disallowed over $250,000 in deductions that a sole proprietor just didn't get, that somebody who owned an entity did get. So there's a lot of benefit, but there's a little responsibility, but the responsibility is no joke. If you ever get looked at and you haven't done it, you are messed up. I'm going to say it. I know we're on all these AM stations, but you're just screwed. Okay. You're screwed. So, and it's a bad moment when they disallow $250,000 in deductions. That's a bad day at work. Is that yeah, audits and lawsuits are bad enough without finding out that there was something very simple you could have been doing that just caused a tremendous amount of pain and expense.
And the thing is, too, is it's correctable. Many people have made the mistake of starting an LLC. When I originally started, I made those same mistakes. I just went out and created an LLC. I didn't know about corporate record books. I didn't know about meetings. I just created it because somebody told me I needed to do that being in business. And when I first met you and saw what you're doing, it's like, I can really remember sitting there going, oh, having that wah moment. Like, oh my gosh, I've totally screwed up. But lo and behold, it's totally correctable. There is a vaccine for that. As we like to say, there is a cure for stupidity, or there is a cure for ignorance when it comes to it.
Yeah, you just didn't know.
Exactly.
We just didn't know. How many people how many people had no clue that you could buy distressed debt from a bank or from a hedge fund? Who knew? I never knew that until I met you. You know, I heard you speak down in San Diego and I thought, how did I not know that you could even do this? It seems counterintuitive that the banks would sell off stuff that they could hold on their books, but it's better if they don't have performing debt, it's better for them to dump it than to hold on to it. So, but I never knew that till I met you. So anybody listening who goes, oh, why, you know, first of all, a lot of us don't want to acknowledge that we don't know something. And so it can be awkward to call and say, I just heard this show and maybe I'm supposed to be doing something with my corporation or LLC. You know, am I messed up? I just want you to know that if you do happen to call my company, if you call Laughlin, you're not going to get any shame for that, because you're amongst 95+% of the people who just didn't know what they were supposed to do. And now we have tens of thousands of companies that we provide that service, do it for you. And it's, you know, you mentioned Debbie is one of the people in that department. And Debbie is one of the fantastic people in the department. And she's easy to work with. She doesn't shame you, does she?
No. She follows up, you know, once a month. We have her with other entities as well. So it's a phone call once a month. Hey, what'd you do this month? What'd you do last month? You know, what's coming up? You know, okay, let's do this. Especially as we get closer here with tax time being just around the corner. It's a week out. You know, as we record this is a week out. The thing, or just under a week, is, you know, putting these things together to make sure that you're getting those type of deductions, to making sure you have, like you say, everything that matches up for you to do that. And she helps with that. Hey, okay, let's get this filed, or you need to get this filed. I'll create it, email it over to you, sign it, and slap it in your binder, right?
Super easy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why people, once they work with us, it's over 87% renewal. So once people find out how easy it is to have somebody like Debbie or anybody else in that department, everybody there is great. Once they find out how easy it is, how painless it is, they actually are able to relax. Because, you know, Scott, I think everybody that ever formed a business entity, especially anybody that ever got one of those books that you showed, they know they're supposed to do something, but they don't know what to do, so they do nothing. Mm-hmm. And when we all of a sudden go, we can relieve the stress from you and get it done, and they do it and they go, oh, that was easy. Then they say, well, stay. Thank you for putting our website up. Look at that.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's what I thought. Cause I know I've had a text message to me like, okay, how do I get started? And so it's really easy. Aaron and his team have put together a dedicated website for our students in our Note Nation. It's called corpavailprotection.com is the website you want to go to, corpavailprotection.com. Or if you can't jump in front of a computer right now, you can always call 1-800-648-0966. That's 800-648-0966. And you'll get on the phone with somebody over at Laughlin. Talk about, you heard them on the podcast here, you heard them on Facebook, you heard them on the radio. I heard it on the radio. Isn't there a song like that? But they've got top options here. I mean, it's not that expensive. I mean, it's for your first LLC, it's $9.95. If you need to split it up in payments, they'll do payment plans for you, and actually report it to the credit bureaus for your company too, which is a nice thing that you guys
build
do.
Corporate credit, to build business credit. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of people that we have business credit companies who refer their students to us simply because we report to the credit bureau. Of course, they get the big benefit of actually protecting their business at the same time. But it's interesting. Matter of fact, I had somebody show me in a book one time, some corporate credit book from an author I've never heard of, never met. And here's my company right in the book going, one place you can go to build corporate credit is Laughlin Associates. And it showed exactly what to do. And I'm like, this is in somebody's freaking book.
Because that's one thing. We've got Merrill Chandler on with Credit Sense, and we're all friends with him. He's speaking at your event here this weekend. He's talking about building business credit and lines of credit, stuff like that. And this is a great way to do that as well, to help it out, to help build with your entity stuff up there for it. Like, once again, it's 1-800-648-0966. When you talk to somebody, say, hey, I was just listening to a podcast with Scott and Aaron Young talking about your Corp Veil production, about protecting my assets, or covering CYA with your books, or that you've got an entity and you need to get your books back in order, stuff like that. It's not meant to be evasive. It's not meant to be shaming. It's the whole goal for this, everybody, is to help you guys
empowering.
out. It's totally empowering.
It's empowering. You're going to be happier when it's done and caught up.
Yeah. I can tell you, I got a little tickle when I saw this show up, and I'm like, wow, it's hard to believe that we have multiple entities for our real estate. We've got the We Close Notes as an S Corp. There's our parent company. We've got a couple other holding companies and things like that for stuff to protect our assets. There's a whole different layer of asset protection as you grow your business and you get started. But for many people out there looking just to get started with your first entity, pick up the phone, give them a phone call. They'll walk you through it. That's what you really don't understand, I think, is everybody thinks you mentioned earlier, oh yeah, I've got a friend, or I got a real estate attorney. They're not going to take the time to call you monthly to set up all the documents, right, Aaron?
No, and if they did, it would be $600 a month.
Oh yeah, exactly. So that's the beauty of what Laughlin Associates does. Once again, check it out, corpveilprotection.com. Debbie and the whole crew over there, Brent, Megan. You got so many others, Scott. Just so many great people over there that are there to protect. So what was that, Aaron?
We have a great team, no question about it.
Yeah,
great team. Yeah, it's the clients love them, and that team that you're talking about that does the corporate veil stuff, they're the ones that get all the thank you cards, the cookies, the candies, the presents at Christmas time, because they're the ones engaging with people on a regular basis and helping relieve a stress. It's wonderful. It's a great thing to provide to people.
Mm-hmm. Now you're going to be coming into Austin here for the mastermind, correct? In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, two weeks, something like that.
Just over 2 weeks. Yeah, exactly. Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So for those that great thing too, Aaron's coming in, spend time with our mastermind group, and we got a few people that are coming in for the sneak peek just to come kind of hang out. If you want to come in, visit with Aaron, I think Brent's flying in as well. Is that correct, Aaron? Do you know?
Yeah, Brent will stay for the whole time and do meetings with people. And so on. Brent Bousquet is our VP of operations, but he's been with the company 28 years, going on 29 years now. He's our representative to the industry association and so on. So he's really incredibly skilled. He does this stuff every day. He's in the business, running the day-to-day, where I'm owning the business, different responsibility.
Yeah, but it'll get an opportunity to sit down there. We're really looking forward to that. We'll probably have right around 50 people once we get everything finalized here in the next couple of days. Steph's been working on that, dealing with hotel reservations and F&Bs and all that good stuff. But
sure. Well, you guys always do a fantastic job.
We look forward to it. It's our 3 favorite weekends of the year. When we're not traveling, of course, but it's with our students, it's stuff we enjoy doing, because they're the people that are taking the action. They're the people that are actually making the offers. They're closing out deals. They're really invested in finding success in their own industry. And we're invested in them as well, trying to make sure that they find success, just like you are with your mastermind, your inner circle, the things you're going to be doing in Tuscany here in a couple of weeks as well, too.
Yeah. The main job, one of the reasons I love working with you is we're like-minded in that the goal isn't just to sell something or make the dollar. We've learned that if we help the customer become successful, because both of us are in a position to work with people over a long period of time. And if you help the customer be successful, they'll stay your customer for a long time. And it's way better to have these deep, long-term relationships than to be constantly having to hunt for the next person to buy my widget, So everything that we do at Laughlin is designed to be with people on the journey for the long haul. And thankfully, and I give all the credit to my team, thankfully, we are successful at keeping clients for a long time, sometimes 30 years. I've got clients that go back to the 80s, that still come out to the event once in a while, go on the boat cruise with us out in Mission Bay. And they just talk about knowing Harley Laughlin, the old man and his son. And that's all before my time, before I bought it in 2001. But what a great legacy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing is, that's the whole idea. Who knows where we're going to go with the podcast? Who knows where we're going? We're seeing some great strides and things like that. And I was like, you know what? It's time to it's time to give birth. We have kind of birthed it. We got pregnant with the podcast. It sounds kind of funny, but now we've birthed the entity and doing some other things as well here as, we're evolving too. We're taking some things differently. We're doing a commercial boot camp now, the end of July. I'm pretty excited about that. We've been talking back and forth about maybe doing it for the last few weeks. And last night yesterday, we kind of launched that initially. We've already got some amazing speakers lined up for that. Aaron's going to be speaking on that as well, the end of July. But we've got I reached out to the #1 owner of mobile homes in America, the biggest company, and they immediately responded back. I'm going to be speaking on this, Clayton Homes. And so, yeah, I was pretty stoked about that. So, and then we got some other big people that we're excited about. So, we're evolving. Our company's evolving. We're doing some crazy things, as I like to say, but fun things to always keep it going and rocking and rolling along.
It's the same thing I mentioned about Richard Branson a little while ago, starting a lot of things. You're doing it. My Unshackled Owner thing started as just people were asking me, how do you do what you do? So I thought, I'll teach class. Who knew that over 200 companies would end up going through it, in the last couple of years. And it's grown into a coaching thing, like accountability for these CEOs. These are all successful people. 2 of the people in the current class have companies north of 30 million in sales. So these are not slouchy people. One of them's over 100 million in sales. And, but that's the fun thing about being an entrepreneur is that if you measure, you figure out what's working. Your podcast has just had tremendous growth. People are interested and they like you as the messenger. In my case, it was the Unshackled Owner thing was just a side little, I wonder if anybody will show up, and it's turned into a multi-million-dollar operation. And sometimes we try things and they don't work. And they go, hey, are you still doing the thing? You go, oh, no, I checked it. Because as you said, we don't have to go down with the ship. Mm-hmm. We pursue things that the market wants and not just things we want to do, but things that people actually want us to do that we'll pay attention to and they'll pay us. And everybody should learn that lesson that wants to be in business. Find out what the market wants and then do that. And you'll make money. And then out of that surplus, out of your wealth, you can pursue all the passion things you want to pursue. But don't try to force it down people's throats.
Yeah. Just be you, keep plowing forward, focus on the things, but make sure you look at where you're at and where you're going and that you're not killing yourself or strangling yourself by shackling yourself to something that's not making any sense. But focused on growth, focus on evolving, getting counsel, not advice, and taking the next steps to separate yourself from the crowd.
Yep.
So,
amen and amen, brother.
Awesome stuff. Well, hey, I'm going to let you get going here. I know you've got a busy afternoon ahead of you there. Once again, thank you so much. Once again, guys, if you're watching this live or on a video replay or audio replay, check it out, corpveilprotection.com. Laughlin Associates out of Reno, Nevada. Great company out there to help hold your hand besides the creation. They're there. They'll help you. Here's the best analogy. They won't just birth the baby. They'll hold your hand and help you raise the baby as you go, right?
There you go.
Good stuff, brother. Well, hey, man, thanks so much. If I don't see you, have a great weekend. We'll talk here between now and your trip. But if we don't, have a fun time in Italy, and we'll see you later. All right, Aaron?
All right. Thanks, Scott. See you, man. Bye.
Thanks, buddy. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. Go out, take some action. Like I said, check them out. If you've got an LLC or an entity there or don't have one, reach out to Laughlin. Reach out to the Corp Veil Protection. Tell them that Scott sent you, and they'll help take care of you. And they might just help you out with that first entity as well in a variety of ways. So go out, take action, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.